The symbol may be older than the god. Long before Ra crossed the skies of Egypt, Baltic tribes were already carving a specific solar geometry into stone, cloth, amber, and ritual objects. Circles, rotation, radiance. The same structures appear across civilizations, separated by language, geography, and thousands of years. And the question is no longer whether they look similar. They do. The real question is why human beings, across completely different worlds, keep returning to the same shapes when trying to understand the sun. Because this was never just decoration. The Baltic Sun Wheel appears again and again across the ancient world, as if our ancestors were trying to describe something they could feel but could not fully explain. A rhythm, a cycle, a structure hidden inside nature itself. And perhaps that is the strangest part. The oldest solar symbols were not simply worshipping the sun. They were trying to decode the order behind it. And the deeper you look into the Baltic Sun Wheel, the stranger the pattern becomes.
Long before written records reached the Baltic North, solar symbols were already embedded into everyday life. Not hidden in temples, worn on the body, woven into clothing, carved into tools, ornaments, and ritual objects used across generations. They were not building monuments to reach the sky. They were carving the sky into their everyday reality. At first glance, the symbols look simple. Circles, crosses, radiating lines. But when archaeologists isolate the geometry itself, a strange consistency begins to emerge. Rotational symmetry, equal division, repeating radial structures. The same visual logic appears again and again across centuries, materials, and regions. Most historians interpret these symbols as representations of seasonal cycles, fertility, continuity, and cosmic order. And for an agricultural society, that explanation makes complete sense. The sun determined survival, harvests, migration, warmth, time itself. Ancient people did not experience nature as background scenery. They lived inside its rhythms. But the Baltic Sun Wheel does something unusual. It does not simply depict the sun. It organizes it. Some symbols divide the circle with striking precision.
Others create rotational movement through repeating directional forms. Certain designs resemble systems in motion more than static religious imagery. And the deeper you look, the harder the consistency becomes to ignore. Because once a symbol becomes this stable across generations, it begins to look less like ornament and more like an attempt to structure the world itself.
At first, the Baltic Sun Wheel feels local, a northern symbol tied to seasonal cycles and ritual life. But the deeper researchers look into ancient solar symbolism, the stranger the pattern becomes. Different civilizations repeatedly described the sun using the same geometric language. The circle, radial division, rotation, cyclical return. Solar imagery appears across nearly all ancient cultures. That alone is not unusual. The sun governed agriculture, navigation, migration, ritual calendars, and survival itself. But the strange part is not that ancient people respected the sun. It is how consistently they structured it. And this is why Baltic symbolism becomes especially interesting. Because in many civilizations, solar power eventually became personified. In Egypt, the sun became Ra, a divine ruler associated with kingship, cosmic authority, and sacred order. The symbol became a god. But Baltic cosmology moved in a very different direction. Instead of placing cosmic order into a human figure, it embedded human life into cosmic order itself. Instead of a god, it preserved a principle. The forces of nature were not always reduced into human personalities.
They behaved more like living systems, rhythms, processes, cycles woven into existence itself. And nowhere is this more visible than in the structure of the sun wheel. It does not simply represent the sun visually. It organizes movement, division, return, seasonal rhythm. The sun wheel was not meant to be admired from a distance. It was meant to orient life itself. Some interpretations even suggest these structures functioned as symbolic calendars, mapping seasonal movement, the cycle of return, and humanity's relationship to natural order. The deeper you examine it, the less it resembles primitive decoration, and the more it resembles an attempt to synchronize human life with the hidden structure of the world itself.
Maybe these symbols survived not because civilizations copied each other, but because humans keep rediscovering the same patterns. The sun is not just an object in the sky, it is rhythm. Every human life is shaped by cycles, waking and sleeping, light and darkness, growth and decay, winter and return. Ancient people experienced these rhythms far more directly than we do. To them, the movement of the sun was not abstract. It governed survival itself. And perhaps the Baltic Sun Wheel was never just a religious symbol. It may have been something far more practical, an attempt to align human life with natural order. Movement, balance, seasonal return. Not simply mythology, but orientation. And maybe this is where modern systems became disconnected from older ways of understanding time itself. The Gregorian calendar is highly effective for administration, coordination, and measurement. It was designed for civil organization, not to mirror the living rhythms of nature with perfect precision. Months break unevenly. 28 days. 30, 31. The system works, but it often feels detached from the direct cyclical experience of the world around us. Older cosmological systems approached time differently. They observed solar movement, seasonal transition, lunar cycles, patterns of return. Not time as abstraction, but time as rhythm. And maybe that is why symbols like the sun wheel
still feel strangely familiar today. Modern neuroscience shows that the human brain is naturally drawn toward symmetry, repetition, cycles, and structured movement. We instinctively seek patterns that create stability and orientation. Perhaps that is why circular symbols continue appearing across civilizations, religions, architecture, and even modern design. Not because humanity agreed on them, but because some structures feel intuitively true before we fully understand why. And once you begin noticing the pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. The question may never be fully answered. Did ancient civilizations inherit these symbols from one another? Did they independently rediscover the same geometry? Or does the human mind naturally return to certain patterns when trying to understand forces larger than itself? No single theory fully explains why these structures appear so consistently across cultures, separated by time and distance. And perhaps that uncertainty is the point. Because the deeper you look into the Baltic Sun Wheel, the less it begins to feel like mythology, and the more it begins to feel like synchronization. Not synchronization in the modern technological sense. Something older. A way of aligning human life with season, movement, rhythm, and the repeating order of nature itself. Patterns carried forward through ritual, architecture, symbol, and story. Fragments of humanity's attempt to remain connected to the structure of the living world. And maybe that is why the Sun Wheel still feels strangely powerful today. Not because we fully understand its history, but because some part of us still recognizes the rhythm behind it. The symbol may be older than the god, but perhaps what matters more is that humans are still searching for the same light.